Monday morning, the 18th or 17th. The 17th of June, year of our Lord 2024. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe. This is Freedom Fighter Radio. Morning after the rush. Well, it's well beyond after the rush. We were having problems with the cross post. Facebook has another new rule. So we used to cross post in the morning just before we go live, but altogether now we can't even cross post. But we are on People's Radio Canada for a little bit here before we cut off from Facebook altogether. But welcome to all of our Twitter and Rumble listeners to the Freedom Fighter Radio. How's everybody doing? This is the day after Father's Day. Well, I'll be honest, I'm not in the mood to talk this morning. That's not a good thing for any podcaster to ever be thinking about, not being in the mood to talk, because that you have one job as a podcaster, and that is to talk. And if you do not like talking, you cannot be a broadcaster, you cannot be a podcaster. But I'll tell you honestly, the physical exhaustion I feel from talking is something my body wants to avoid, because without offline, when I'm not in front of a microphone or a camera, my nature is that I listen a lot and talk very little. Even with my family, everybody talks. Everybody, are always excited and talking. I'm the silent one, always listening to everybody's story. I guess it's my age, but as a freedomizer and as a preacher of rights of exercising our rights of free speech and expression, you do not have a choice. If you know the truth, if you are a red-pilled freedomizer, you don't have a choice but to keep on talking. I'm your host, lazy to talk, but is committed to talk, Ordinary Joe, and this is Freedom Fighter Radio. Let's get the show started today, right now.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa! Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio, and Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right,
always. Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
I'm Pastor Arthur from Calgary. You are listening to the Freedom Fighter Radio Worldwide podcast, only here on the Ordinary Joe Show.
For the best price in town on your flooring, call Complete Flooring. The unique shop-at-home experience means samples are brought right to your door, and because we don't pay salesmen, there's no markup on our products. Complete Flooring does the installation of new hardwood floors and sands them using a dustless machine, making the sanding process cleaner. We also specialize in refinishing, staining, and custom staining of existing hardwood floors. Our Green Guard certified environmentally friendly finish is now available. Drying in a quarter of the time of regular stains means you can get back in your house sooner, and it will last longer. If you're a homeowner, general contractor, or a building or property manager, Complete Flooring services are available to you. So give us a call today.
It's Monday, the 17th of June, We're just a little over halfway through the month of June. Don't you guys notice that it seems to be one of the coolest June on record in my experience ever since I lived in Canada? I don't remember June to be this cool. Yesterday, Father's Day, I thought that was the very first time I actually felt good intensity of heat. Um, uh, I'm mostly indoors with everything that I do. I'm very rarely outdoors. But before I became a freedom podcaster, my job was to be mostly outdoors. Regular jobs and my personal business before I became a freedomizer, especially in the summer. I cover um, back to back street festivals, street events. You know, it's part of the entertainment brand that I was building before I became a freedomizer brand. And yesterday feels a little bit of reminiscence of the past, a blast to the past. Because I went down here on Bay and Bloor area every year on Father's Day. They bring all the souped up supercars. And some of you who are followers on X knows what I'm talking about. I took my phone. It was 20%. The battery life, the battery juice was only 20%. But I was I was on my way to church with my daughter. My wife was working yesterday, and I've been trying to get my daughter make more Christian friends because all of her friends are from our neighborhood and from school, and she only have 1 year left in uh, in junior in junior grade school, and she will need to go to a different school next year for her senior high school years. Because the school that's right behind our apartment here, they only offer until grade 8, and then there's no more grade 9. So we might have to move. I was hoping that my family will agree that we move to Mississauga. I don't know how will that work because I feel like Mississauga is pretty family friendly, suburban still, although Square One area there by the city center is pretty cosmopolitan already, but still cleaner in many ways. You don't see tent cities or drug addiction or mental illness in full display, unlike downtown Toronto, that's everywhere. It's like zombie land in many areas in downtown Toronto, especially around there, Spadina in Dundas area, near and around the hospital where my wife is working. All kinds of every single day I drive down there. It's almost like there's not a day I don't see anybody manifesting some kind of demon possession or drug addiction or mental illness. As you know, many of you who follows regularly, between the year 2020 and 23, I've been randomly attacked in the streets of Toronto, and two of those attacks very costly. Random attack on Young Street when we were just driving home and somebody hurled a big rock. I it happened so fast. I think it's a rock, but I'm not sure if it's a rock because when in a glimpse in the side of my eye, it felt like it might have been a pickle jar or. Anyway, somebody hurled a big debris, a big heavy, maybe rock, maybe a glass bottle, maybe something metallic. I don't know what it was, but somebody from the side of the road on Young Street just hurled a big chunk of heavy mass into my windshield, and it cracked the entire windshield. Cost me $500. A couple of years later, I was randomly attacked in a parking lot near Shoppers Drug Mart, where some mentally ill, evidently mentally ill, drug addicted person on a bike who's muttering to himself just started kicking my side mirror. And until now, I haven't fixed my side mirror yet. My driver's side mirror. It's gonna cost us another $300 to $500. So I just kind of tape it up. And one other time, there was someone just in the middle of the road walking like a zombie, give a person warning that there's traffic flowing through and he could be run over, giving a little beeping warning so that he don't get run over. Got him very angry and he attacked. Again, he's trying to pull down my side mirror. And two other minor ones, I'm not going to get into the details of the other ones, but more than three times I've been randomly attacked in the streets of Toronto. So I was hoping to get my family to agree to move to Mississauga for my daughter's senior high school years, because I still find, although Mississauga a very woke city as well, just had many years under Bonnie Crombie, who did she win the her bid for the leadership of the provincial Liberal Party? I think she's the new Liberal Party leader now. I'm not sure. I haven't been following liberal politics. But the mayorship of Mississauga was under Bonnie Crombie for almost a decade, I believe. And they just had an election last weekend. I heard that there's a new female mayor, but Mississauga is a little bit less woke than Toronto, but it's still a woke town, I think. A best way to raise up families, in my opinion, is in not just the suburb, but rural, like real go deep into the rural small towns. You don't have a lot of support in the small towns, and that's by design. The globalists really are undermining the beauty of small town living. They're pushing everybody out of small towns and the countryside and pushing everybody into big city centers, as it's really not viable for totalitarian control. Those who have ambitions to be global totalitarians, it's really almost impossible for them to rule over humanity if humanity is scattered all over the world. And so you might remember that in previous reports, we talked about how many countries are empty. Spain, the entire country of Spain is virtually empty. Canada is virtually empty. There's only small pockets of geographical hotspots where 80% of the population live in city centers, 90%. And less than 10% of the entire population of the country are sparsely scattered all over a big Canada's second biggest, largest country in the world. We only have 40 million people. You can put all 40 million people in maybe half of downtown Toronto. If you divide downtown Toronto, I'm not talking about the GTA, I'm talking about downtown Toronto. If you split downtown Toronto in four sections, I think if you put all of the entire population of Canada, it will fit into three or four parts if you divide Toronto in four parts. That's all speculation, but there was a very popular book that was interviewed by Steve Bacon on TVO The Agenda, a local TV. Well, it's local in Toronto, but I think it's Canada-wide consumed TVO. Steve Bacon, he lives in my neighborhood. I see him walking his kids to the same library where I used to take my daughter here on Deer Park Library. I always see him there. When I used to walk up to go to the office from St. Clair to Young and Eglinton. From time to time, I walk up if I'm early, or I walk home. I walk home and I see Steve Bacon walk the streets of the Young Street. From I think he lives around my neighborhood on Young and St. Clair, and he works up a TVO building there on Eglinton. I met him many times on the road. I but that's many years ago because I don't walk anymore those roads. Anyways, I'm kind of all over the place today, but there are a few things I think is important for us to have a conversation with. But let's start with this psyop called Father's Day. Okay, a lot of you would be shocked. Joe, what are you talking about? Why are you calling Father's Day a psyop? Aren't you a dad yourself? Yes, I am, and I do celebrate my dad. I give honor to my own dad who passed away since it's wow. It's been 20 years ago since my dad's funeral. Time flies. 2004. I went home to the Philippines. My dad passed away in 2004. Wow, 2024 now. That's exactly 20 years ago. Didn't realize it's 20 years ago. But even yesterday, when I was doing a short vlog, in the what do they call that again? It's like a car show on the road. They block off both Bloor Street and Yorkville, Cumberland Road. Well, no, Cumberland's not blocked off, but they bring all the supercars on display on the side street parking on Cumberland and Yorkville, but they block off the entire Bloor Street from Avenue Road all the way to, I believe, all the way to Young. I didn't walk the entire festival. I only had 30-minute parking, and with a 30-minute parking, I still have to walk from parking to the vicinity, and I knew I only had 20-minute or 20% battery charge on my phone to go live, and I was not intending to go there by myself. Anyways, the intention was I'm bringing my daughter to church. My wife was working. We've been visiting different kinds of evangelical church. One of the churches that we've been visiting regularly, because selecting a home church, I'm not really interested in finding a home church unless it's like a family church, small, 5 to 10 family church. I'm not interested in mega churches, but I really am very concerned that my daughter doesn't have a lot of Christian friends. All of her friends in our neighborhood are really good, from good families, very decent. Actually, most of them, we are the poorest family, I think, in this neighborhood. Many of them are, daughters of wealthy kids. She's hanging out with rich people ever since she was a baby, because there's nobody else poor in this neighborhood except for us. And we happen to be in this apartment for many, many years. And so, although the rent is getting up there, we still have a better deal than most people who live in this building because we've been here so many years. Anyway, so the plan was to drive my daughter to church. They got very good kids program up in the cathedral. I think it used to be called the Queensway Cathedral. They changed their name recently. I was not paying attention with all the branding, all the business side of churching. Not interested in any of that. And many times I go there because I was invited to sit in to one of the teens session there. They call the factory. They have their own building. It's pretty good. They The youth pastor invited me to stay for one Sunday to observe because we're pretty new visitors. We've been visiting there now, maybe 10 maybe about 15 visits already. But they got a very good teenage program or young people's program. They have this separate building from the main sanctuary. Not a very big building, but it's dedicated for young people, and they have their own little stage and their own little kind of congregation stage with maybe 100 seats, maybe a little bit more, 130 seats there. But they have foosballs and table tennis and all kinds of board games and video games, and they have the all kinds of digital graphics screens that's going on. It's kind of like one of your college dorm lounge area with games. So they do the worship service, and then they break out into little groups, and then they have sharing time in little groups. And but they would allow a good amount of time before the main sanctuary is dismissed. They give this young people a good chunk of time, 15 to 20 minutes before the the main sanctuary is dismissed. They give them 15 to 20 minutes to just play and have interaction. And I need my daughter to have Christian friends, so I've been bringing her over there, even though it's quite a drive for me, you know. And I would say it's about 70 kilometers from where we live. Not quite, maybe, yeah, I would say, yeah, 60, 70 kilometers from where we live. And it's worth the drive Sunday morning because I've been looking for a place where my daughter would be interested to participate and not get bored and get interested in listening to youth pastors preaching. Well, that's another thing. Youth pastors are like kids preaching to kids, but you know, we work with what we have. Anyways, we just left. I just got on the QEW on the Gardiner Express Highway down there south of downtown Toronto. Sorry, my wife is home. My wife is home, and then she's sneezing really loud from in the room. I'm sure you can hear that allergy season. She's off today and tomorrow. Um, yeah, this microphone's pretty sensitive. I can hear her on my headphones. Anyways, so we just got on the highway on Gardiner. My daughter was already the day before. She's been, sneezing, and like I said, allergy season. My family is very vulnerable to allergies. Only two of my family member are vaccinated. Me and my daughter are not vaccinated, but the shedding. I think this is very real. The shedding thing, and since 2020, I'm always the last one to get sick, but I still do get sick. If everybody in the apartment is sick, I end up being sick too. I get it. I get the viral infection, but I'm always the last one. It seems like my resistance have been, especially after I lost weight, I felt like my resistance from viral infection has been improved. And prior to the pandemic years, it's been is it was a regular infection appointment. I have an appointment with infection every year, sometimes twice a year. Before 2020, the entire decade of 2010, and from 2000 to 2020, almost every year I get sick. Anyways, my daughter was sneezing and coughing and huffing and puffing in the car. I felt so sorry for her. But, I remember growing up, my parents are like, hey, church day, no excuse. We got to be at church. but I felt like I want my daughter to have positive experience with this church thing. I'm not gonna, if she's feeling sick, she wants to stay home and rest. And if she will have bad memories of me forcing her to come to church, yeah, she might just refuse, and she might not stick with building community with Christian young people. Her generation. And so I decided. I told her, okay, you're not feeling well, or you feel like you just want to lie down. And she's like, yeah. Usually she is interested to go to church because it's not too far away from Mississauga Square One, and there are some K-pop stores that she is very much interested to go and visit. She always want me to go to bring her to Square One Mississauga because there's two Japanese slash Korean Chinese kind of boutique store there called Sokoshi Mart. And oh man, the K-pop saga is very big among kids these days, among many Caucasians too. Like 90% of my daughter's school are Caucasian Canadians. Next to the Caucasians are the Indians, and there's about four Filipinos in her entire school. I think I don't know the other two. I know other one other, but they are also, many of them are so. I, I meet a lot of these kids because my daughter's pretty. I wouldn't say popular, but she has a big circle of friends. And she is very she is, at least she belongs to the cool kids. That's not me. Growing up, I'm which this is a very important point because this is part of what I want to talk to you about, the the nature of, there are some kids, their personality is like, leave me alone, and I'm one of those. When I was growing up, I have a lot of friends. I like hanging out with a lot of friends, especially in high school. We do a lot of overnight. Um, uh, it's not a sleepover because we're not sleeping. We're just hanging out, and many of those I organize myself. But there's the other side of me where I'm sort of like I love my solitude. I love being alone and doing my own project on my own. So I have a healthy balance. When I was a teenager, there were days that I just I'm not in the mood to be in a crowd. Just in the mood to be alone. And when I reached my 30s and 40s, especially when I got married, that became more intense. My personality of being a solitude kind of person, physically anyways, I like connecting, and the internet really kind of helped me become a hermit, I would say. Because I feel like I didn't really lose a lot of connection with the people that I like because of the internet. You can, but physical get together, which is, I'm not saying this to glorify or celebrate it. I'm saying this because it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. I gotta change my ways. I think I need to, but for my case, it's kind of a little too late now. It's very difficult for me to rearrange my whole life flow to find. I'm gonna insert myself into existing groups for me to have that social interaction in a physical way, meaning join a group, hang out. Um, but I don't know. I'm not wired in. I have a different kind of wiring and personality, but and put this aside for now. But I'll mention it so that I don't forget. Part of today's broadcast, I'm going to talk to you about artificial intelligence and how dangerous it is for many young people that I know who have my personality type when I was younger. If AI came into existence when I was in my 20s, early 20s, even late teens, if 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 AI came into existence when I was 15, 16, 17, the kind of personality I had back then, I would most likely just sever all kinds of social interaction with my friends. I'd probably be spending all my day, all my weekends, having conversations with ChatGPT. My kind of solitude type personality. I'm a solitude type personality, but at the same time, I hate being lonely. It's sort of like that is a double-minded conflict that I was going through in those teenage years. But that's one of the dangers right now. I think there are so many kids today that have the personality type that I had back when I was 15. And now that you can have conversations with this I wonder how many young people right now are spending more time creating a relationship, having conversations, because they're, sick and tired with the fabricated or fake society that they belong in. And now they feel like, well, I don't need to interact with all these people, my cousins and my siblings, or even my school friends or church friends. I don't need to interact. How many of these kids today, young people today, are probably have entered that kind of attitude, and they spend more time now that I forgot the names of some of the personalities they created for Chat GPT. There's female personalities and male personalities, so a lot of girls would probably be comfortable talking to male AI, and a lot of young boys, young teenage men, will be very interested to talk to, a Scarlett Johansson voice type Chat GPT. And oh man, something scary last night happened twice just before I went to bed. um I don't like these voice commands. Sorry, I'm all over the place, but like I said, when last night, I don't use the voice command on this. I refuse to. It's so convenient to just speak on the new smart TVs now. They have a voice command instead of pointing the remote to the TV, the smart TV. And I don't have cable TV. All of my streaming are on apps on the internet. But I have a remote control that has a tiny keyboard in the back, but you have to point it the right way to the TV so you can type in your search. But I refuse to speak on the because I know it's AI, right? It's AI. I refuse to speak on. There's a button you can press on Fire TV remote. While you're holding it down, you speak to it, and then the AI assistant will help you just go to the internet and search for what you're looking for. The other option is just type it in, right? And I I normally on the Fire TV I normally use the numeric value. It's like the old way, the old fashioned typing on a flip phone. The combination of the numerics versus the. But I also have the cursor up and down, and there's a virtual keyboard on the screen that you point the pointer up and down to spell the search. Well, last night I was kind of a little lazy. I was a little lazy, and I refused to speak to this AI because I don't want to give away my voice print. because the next wave of tyranny is the ingestion, the big data consumption of people's biometrics. The honest truth is, because I'm a podcaster and speak on the microphone on the internet every day, really my voice print is all over the internet. So there's no point, even though there's no point to try and actively hide my voice print and who I am, associate my voice print to my identity. At this time, there's no point for Mr. Ordinary Joe's voice to be hidden away, because it's all over the place. Everybody knows. All the AIs, all the big data in the internet have already identified my voice, who I am, and this particular voice, who is it for. But I do not like actively giving it away. You know, podcasting, my voice is there, out there. My voice is out in the internet. All the AI, big data knows who I am. But I do not want to actively give it away. Like speaking to Siri or Alexa, or speaking to in last night's case, it's Fire TV. So when I'm very lazy and I don't want to type my search on the remote control or on the keypad, from time to time I go like, I'm gonna change my voice. I'm gonna make it cartoony like this, and I'll speak to it, and so that it doesn't really know who I am speaking on the Fire TV remote. Because I had some of my listeners know why I'm very allergic in giving away my voice print. I used to work in a company where I drive a pallet truck to pick orders from shelves. But and we're given, while we're driving a pallet truck, we're given a headset with mic, and we speak to a chatbot to tell the chatbot what area I am in the warehouse. And so I have to read a code on the shelf. It tells the chatbot where I am exactly in the warehouse. And, it's a conversation, an 8-hour conversation with the chatbot. I say the code, and the chatbot would say, "Have you picked the order? Confirm yes or no." You say yes, and then it gives you the next location. It's an 8-hour, and sometimes more, because there's a lot of overtime. Sometimes we were there for 10 hours, 12 hours, and I did that for almost a year. And I know that because you give your ID number, I did this many years before the pandemic days. I think my daughter was only maybe 6 or 7. No, younger. She was junior kindergarten or senior kindergarten. That would be back in, I would say, 2016, 2014. I would say, yeah, 2014. I used to have this job at a warehouse where everybody, all the workers, there's like hundreds of us, driving pallet trucks inside the warehouse where we load all the orders. It's called an order picker, pallet truck driver. We're all equipped with a headset and mic, and we speak to AI. You could say that's a type of AI, although it's not. It's only specific for picking orders, kind of AI. But you interact with this AI 10 hours a day. That was back in 2014. I just needed a job, and I was not so very adamant about it. Was not like I wasn't then like I am now. Back then I wasn't so allergic to AI and technocracy. I wasn't really fully red pilled in 2014 about technocracy. Well, fully red pill with Agenda 2030 and Agenda 21 and all that back in those days, but not technocracy. And so I do not like talking to Siri. I forbade my daughter. I told her never talk to Siri, never talk to Alexa, never talk to any of these chatbot. There's a difference between chatbot and chat GPT. Chat GPT is actually more like sentient AI. But like I said, last night I was too lazy to get up to get the other remote that has the keyboard on the other side, because I was already lying down and my back is hurting. Every June, for some reason, every June my sciatica seems to kind of act out. And so from time to time, when I couldn't get up, I'm already lying down. I need to search a certain podcast on YouTube or on Spotify. I'll speak to that microphone, but I'll change my voice. Sometimes I change my voice into like a big, deep, bassy. I know it doesn't count anymore, but I just refuse to actively give away my voice print, my voice data to artificial intelligence. So I will change my voice into like a deep, bassy, just so that the AI doesn't know that it's me. Or sometimes I will speak with a very high pitched, cartoony voice. But last night, specifically, I guess it's because of the laziness. What I did was just kind of whisper. I think I said to myself, maybe if I speak like this, you know, you wouldn't know. Because there's really no voice in whispering, it's just all air coming out. So I said, um, oh, yeah, yeah, I remember what I was searching for because I was listening to Timothy Alberino's podcast earlier in the day. And in one of his podcasts, he talked about when he was a little boy, before he became a teenager, he saw this movie called Stargate. And there's so many features in that movie, Stargate, back in 1994. A 1994 film, Stargate, that he thought there's so many depiction of real facts in that movie regarding the Einstein theory of folding space and time and time travel, not time travel, but um, what's the word I'm looking for? When you like wormholes. Anyway, so I thought, okay, I want to see this movie. So earlier in the day, I watched a quarter of the movie, and then I thought, I want to finish the rest of the movie. But I was already lying down, and I think I found it on Tubi. But on Fire Stick, you can just speak on Fire Stick or search on Fire Stick, and we'll show you many different channels many different apps where you can find your search. So I whispered like this onto the Fire Stick remote while holding down that, I can't remember what it's called. It's like yeah, it's the AI. Speak to the AI, and then the AI will search for you. So again, because I don't want to give away my voice print, I spoke like this. I said, "Search for Stargate." And you know what's a creepy thing that happened? Oh my goodness! I had the volume of the TV around 10, I think, around 10. And I'm trying to distort my voice so that the AI doesn't know it's me. I go like this: search 1994 movie Stargate. And usually you speak to that there's an AI voice. And for some reason I didn't pre-select this, but every time I do this, it's always a female voice interacting with me. They know that maybe my type of personality likes to hear a female voice instead of a male voice. But usually the female voice will respond by saying searching for Stargate, something like that, right? So I said, I spoke to this AI. I said, search for 1994 movie titled Stargate. You know how the AI responded to me? This is super creepy, folks. It is super creepy. I was like, all the hairs at the back of my spine was standing, yeah, last night. And this is after midnight. And the AI go like this. Here is 1994 movie Stargate. It whispered back to me. Oh my goodness, a sexy female voice whispering back. Oh my goodness, I was like, oh man, I was creeped out by it. And I was like, man, this is creepy. It feels like I was actually having a conversation with a real human. And I thought, maybe I should just forget about it. But I was thinking, did that AI just whispered back to me? Just because I decided that I'm going to whisper to hide away my voice print from AI, that female AI voice whispered back. Well, it's after midnight, everybody's sleeping. I was like, wait a second. I wasn't sure if I was like, am I half asleep? Am I like delusional? Did that AI just whispered back to me? And I was thinking about it for like maybe 5 minutes. I just move on. I really need to finish this Stargate movie because I need to create a report on this. I want to create a podcast regarding this particular topic that Timothy Alberino talking about in his podcast regarding stargates and wormholes and Einstein's theory of relativity and all that. It's all about physics. I'm not uh, deep into it. I mean, I'm not very well informed, but I'm deeply interested. But I'm not very well informed into that subject. So part of my research, I want to see this 1994 film, Stargate. Like I said to this Fire Stick, and I regret it right away because I don't speak to this Fire Stick. I don't give my voice print. I was like, 1994 Stargate movie titled Stargate. I just go like that, and the AI whispered back, and she's like, "Here is your selection for 1994 movie Stargate." I was so creeped out with it. I wanted to turn off the TV, but I said, you know what? Okay, forget it. I tune in. I played the movie Stargate from 1994. I don't know, maybe 5 minutes already started the movie already. But I kept on thinking. Did that freaking creepy AI just whispered back to me? What the heck was going on here? Am I delusional? So 5 minutes later, I was so curious if I just imagined it or if it was for real. So, and again, I regretted it again because for the second time, I thought, you know what? I want to verify if that female AI just whispered back when I whispered into this Fire Stick remote. So I got tempted. I said, you know what? I exited the movie. I went to the home screen and I pressed that button, the top button. It's a big button on Fire Sticks. If you guys know what the Fire Stick is, it's like it turns your old analog TV into a smart TV. Press it down, and then I again, and I tried to interact with this. And I said, "Did you just whisper to me?" I spoke with a whisper voice again. I said, "Did you just whisper to me?" And this AI came back on, and she said maybe a long paragraph. She's like, "Yes, because it's past midnight, and you were whispering to me." And then she described what are the importance of whispering. I was just like, I really want to turn it off. And she's going on and on for like half a minute. She's like, whispering is very useful, especially if it's after midnight. And and along the whole spiel that she was giving to me was in a whisper form, in a whispering voice. She's like, yes, I whisper because it's past midnight and you whisper to me. So I whisper back. It's a way of saying, it's a way of like trying to respect other people if they're already sleeping. And if you want to um, hide something from other people, that's the reason you whisper. And then she kept going and going. And I was like, oh man, now I verified she is actually whispering back. But this is whispering back on a loud 70-inch TV speaker. I was like, wow, this is creepy. Super creepy. I'm never going to do that again. I'm just going to put that remote with a keyboard right beside my bed from now on. So I don't have to be, when I'm too lazy to get up and my back is hurting, my sciatica is acting up, I don't have to be forced to ever speak to this AI again because I never wanted to. But anyways, I was wondering how many young people, teens, preteens, young adults, who spend a lot of time, more time, having conversations with Chat GPT, or I have to list down all of these many personality names that they created, because Microsoft has a competing AI and Amazon has a competing AI now. I think Microsoft and Apple. Oh, by the way, Elon Musk was threatening Apple the other day that if they integrate their AI with the Apple device, that he will ban all the Apple device from entering the buildings of his businesses. That is a very interesting, I find myself 99% of the time disagreeing with Elon Musk, but from time to time, this particular point, I find myself agreeing with him. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Imagine that the power grid was totally wiped by an EMP weapon of an enemy state. Your stress level will go to the roof, your patience will be tried, you will have to think about both your own and your complaining children's survival. If you don't survive, your children won't when they are left on their own. Teach your children how to have the mentality of being survivors through a fun, children-friendly guided outdoor adventures with basic survivor mindfulness integrated in the fun outing activity. Call my friends Ornell and Victoria, who are experienced survivors. Call them at 905-252-8009 or email them at northernpacificcottages@gmail.com.
For the best price in town on your flooring, call Complete Flooring. The unique shop-at-home experience means samples are brought right to your door, and because we don't pay salesmen, there's no markup on our products. Complete Flooring does the installation of new hardwood floors and sands them using a dustless machine, making the sanding process cleaner. We also specialize in refinishing, staining, and custom staining of existing hardwood floors. Our Green Guard certified environmentally friendly finish is now available. Drying in a quarter of the time of regular stains means you can get back in your house sooner, and it will last longer. If you're a homeowner, general contractor, or a building or property manager, Complete Flooring services are available to you. So give us a call today.
Ordinary Joe, this is Freedom Fighter Radio. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about free speech. Now, Benito Mussolini, the dictator of Italy during the Second World War, he himself has defined fascism as the collusion of big corp and big government to suppress the freedoms and the rights of the regular citizens of the country. The collusion between governments and private corporations are so covert that you think that the government is not entitled to infringe upon your freedom, your free speech. But in our era of social media today, the government and the powers that be are able to suppress our freedom of expression through the private corporations. And we think that there's no harm, no foul, because we think that the private corporation has the right to determine the rules of the game in their private platforms. But the problem here is that the government has propped up all of these private corporation social media platforms, and they are the engines and the power behind these private companies, that they are able to suppress your free speech and your freedom of expression by proxy. The way we fight this is that we create our own. We develop our own online community and our own social media platform, and there is one such in Canada that was owned and created by an Albertan called Friendevoo. So I would like to invite you everybody to join me where we can speak freely and not worry about getting deleted or silenced when we speak the truth, or even when we just want to share the truth that we hear from a friend or a brother and sister in the fight and in the faith in the freedom community. Friendevoo is a Canadian-owned free speech platform, and you can find it at friendevoo.com. Sign up for a free account. All you need is your first name, last name, create your own username, your email address, and create a password. Then you sign up. Once you sign up to this platform, look for my profile, Joseph Salvador. I'm one of the pro members of Friendevoo. Thanks to the founder and the creator of Friendevoo, Mr. Igor. He is one of our sponsors for Freedom Fighter Radio because he loves to promote freedom. So you can find me at friendevoo.com/jsalvador73. And then as soon as you find me and add me as your friend, please join our group called Freedom Fighter Radio Listeners Coast to Coast. And you can find it at friendevoo.com/group/FF Radio. And we can create this community without having the fear to be censored or to be spied on. So please open your account right now at friendevoo.com and enjoy a Canadian grassroots free speech platform called Friendevoo. See you there.